I am the king of smegma. Smegma. Hey, hey you. What are you looking at? Well, you never seen a shaman before in his natural habitat? Facebook told me today that trees are portals to different dimensions. So maybe I'm doing something special. I have value. I have value by being a tree man. And if you have a problem with that, you can meet the sword. Like the Bible says. You know what I also have? I have 4 carabiners that I can attach to the blade, I poked a hole in the box and I sheath it. And then if that doesn't work, I'll give you the tent treatment. The judicial system knew that I have to be in Morrisville, which is north, an hour and a half on the 8th. So they scheduled my hearing, which I have to be in person. It's mandatory. I have to be in Brattleboro, which is 2 hours south of where I am, the next day, on the 9th. And remember, the crime is bumping into somebody in the hallway that I've been arrested for missing court for 4 years. And I've served about 70 days in jail for bumping into somebody in the hallway. And I have to believe it's a Truman Show. Because I've been able to reach states of meditation over in the crows. So I know that they've just been wanting my special power. And it's all it is. They won't admit it, but they're sick pedophile freaks. And it's just power corrupts. I have some type of power. I'm not supposed to talk about what you see in Appalachia at night because you don't want to accidentally build a spiritual connection to it. If you accidentally build a spiritual connection to it, you invite it to come back. And I don't want that thing to come back, but there's something out here at night. But yeah. There's somebody that went to a local garage and there's a Honda Civic for $1,600. They'll fix it up enough to get around town, they said, for $1,600. And it says IRL on the back, which is cool, because he was like, it's an Ireland sticker. And I was like, that's cool, that's perfect, man. But I'm just waiting on my birth certificate. But what's really cool is that Sagittarius season hit like a truck. Ah. And you know what my tarot readers told me, chat? They said, we just wanted to remind you that you're an ancient Lyran king. I'm seeing the 11. And I'm like, what the fuck is the Lyra? I ain't lying, but I guess I'm lying. I don't know what it means. I don't really care. I think aliens are demons. That's funny. That's funny that my brain went, blow your nose. And then as I'm blowing my nose, they reminded me. In the video, I also talked about the elephants. The elephants are very important. I'm waiting. These new birds are curious. They don't know who I am yet. And then they get software updated. And then nature kind of just fills them in instantly. Like, and then they have all the memories of the past. They know what I did for the black-capped chickadees in my past place. Yeah. I don't want to tell you guys yet. I don't want to tell you guys yet how cool. It was terrible, man. Scorpio season sucked. You know what was really cool, though? For a brief moment, for like a day, everything was perfect. That guy lived in Vershire, an hour away, and I was able to sit in that wood shop by myself in the bathroom with the heater running. And I just made AI videos all night. I wanted to savor the moment, you know? So I stayed up because I wanted to sit in that for as long as possible. Because I knew the world would take it from me eventually. The people that stay in my life go insane. And the people that I left behind get even worse. Trying to get back in my good graces by any means. They'll start fishing. They'll start stalking me. I will not be surprised if I wake up one morning and I hear the truck running and I look out the tent flap and Mr. Crow is standing there like, because the trickster god that forced him to rape me spiritually for days, and then when I was confused and scared and didn't know what to do and stuck in that cognitive dissonance, he harvested. And then he would stomp on the stairs above my head, stomping on the stair right above my head. And then he'd go upstairs, smoke weed, and I didn't record it. I don't know why I didn't record it. I felt it would be disrespectful. And then as I'm coming back into my own power, being alone in the woods, I was like, what the? I was just subjected to 2 weeks of torture that I just ignored because I really wanted to get money to get my goals and dreams met. And it's like I walk into a place because I left the cabin because I want to get a storage unit and make clothes. Hello? That's the first time I've heard a squirrel here. I wanted to get a storage unit when I left the cabin to start making clothes. I didn't know what I was going to do or how to sew, or I knew it was going to be cold. But then I wander into that wood shop, and the guy goes, I want to sell men's underwear to help men feel sexy. And I was like, okay, so obviously I'm here because you're a lonely man in psychosis, and I have the actual answers for you. Obviously, you've been alone too long, and you've been doing drugs by yourself, and now you're spending all the money you have on a pipe dream, and I'm rampaging through the universe to make it happen, and you sort of are like a vehicle. So I'm going to give 110% to help you get everything you need to help your dreams come true the way that I would want for myself, and hopefully along the way, I will somehow trickle down economics, be able to get my needs met through severe helping everyone with no expectations. That was my plan. And what happened was, the harder I worked, the more that I was churning the infinite through my vessel and my unique and special individuality that was pumping out some type of raw, precious energy that was offending the man. I would, like, sit there after a hard day's work. I would feel satisfied and happy. And I'd be sitting there enjoying that I worked hard, and I would look up, and the guy was red eyes, shaking, staring at me. And he goes, "What's 12 times 6? And I was like, well, obviously 12 times 5 is 60, so it's 72. He's like, you need to be faster. You're going to need to know that. But it's obviously 72, right? 12 times 5 is 60, plus 12 is 72. 12 times 8 is 96. Right? 12 times 9, 108. Whoa. The problem was, I don't know, it just felt like I really had to fight myself in a lot of ways. Because he was born on the same day I was born, 12/11. So there were good things, positive things about it. And I could see how if I didn't learn this reference experience, if I didn't meet somebody with the same birthday as me in his 60s, they don't know what to make of this. Because I'm focused, so I'm agitating or instigating. What's the right word? Whatever. But I got to see what my life could be like if I stay alone and I don't learn relationships. If I don't save my money, I need it's Sagittarius season, baby. All right. All right. With science proving quantum entanglement is real, it's pretty retarded to not believe that these celestial patterns impact our conscious weather. And I just can't believe that the Chinese were bullshitting for thousands of years with their system. I'm not saying that it's the year that 2023 was the year of the rabbit. But I'm saying that right in the middle of 2023, when I was laying out in the woods, a rabbit would visit me every day. And I have not seen a rabbit since. Or before that. Only in the year of the rabbit was I visited by a rabbit every day. And in the year of the dragon, the fiery king Kendrick, Ken means fire, Rick means king, Kendrick, Irish, because the Irish are the true chosen people, Kendrick defeated Drake, which is English for dragon. And exposed him for being a pedophile that killed XXX Tentacion. And XXX is a 33 life path. Just saying. But how much free will we have, I don't know. I'm also saying that my life seems to be a consistent. I've figured out the main pattern, which is what my natural gift is towards problem solving and objectively seeing things with a sound, stern, stubborn focus that allows me to implement my own creative will into things with my own style and my own creativity. And my blessing is that I have this disassociative state so that I can take as much as possible and create it the way that I want to create it. And that helped me a lot with Legos growing up, then music, and it hopefully I was supposed to be put into projects in life, conversations, dancing, travel, telling jokes, having fun. But I'm consistently put around narcissists that survive by tearing their way in any way they can, trying to destroy me. In doing so, keep themselves as like a tumor or a parasite. They try to keep themselves in my energy, is what tarot readers would say. Trying to draw my attention away from this creative, amazing life. And trying to divert it to themselves. So you'll see a lot of people sucking up to me. And when that doesn't work, or if I let them in, they slowly get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then when they finally exhausted everything that they could have harvested from me, they turn cold. They try to play on abandonment issues. They try to guilt trip to try to force you to connect to them once they felt like they've asserted their power and dominance over you. Then when that doesn't work, they try desperately to destroy my character. Anything they can do. I mean, with my family, they'll go so far as to start lying to people to hurt me. But it's not uncommon to suddenly hear that some random person I don't know is running around sending my videos to people, walking around gas stations and talking shit about me to everybody in the community. My ex-girlfriend called and said that like around 30 people, because I was advocating for justice for a police brutality on my local Facebook page for my hometown, where a woman was molested by a cop on camera and then beaten unconscious, and she had not committed a crime. My ex-girlfriend called and said that she said at least 30 people had reached out to her trying to get her to change the way that she sees me. So they knew that we had dated, and they showed up and were trying like viciously to get in with small talk gossip and try to convert her belief about me. And she was like, that's weird. And I was like, why do you think I would wake up in the morning and I couldn't move? And it's like 90 degrees and I'm freezing and I can't move and I curl up into a ball. There's something that they want to stop. And I don't know what it is exactly. But I think it's weird that the King in the North archetype keeps circling back to me always. I can't escape it. I can't escape the King in the North. You know what my Facebook showed me today? The King in the North isn't a Game of Thrones thing. It's a hidden secret from the Bible that they took when they stripped the Irish of their true heritage. When the Freemasons and the Jesuit order took Ireland through conquest and they reduced them to pagan druids. Yeah, but it's not Jon Snow. George R.R. Martin was relaying some very hidden secrets about esoteric stuff, which is the king that comes back will be in the north, and he will be the king in the north. It's not about wildlings or going over the wall or the crows, the three-eyed raven and the elder tree in the back. Those are hints, because all creation is divine, but you have to see it more like Casey wood, the acacia tree, where all those different things are branches of the same. Like, my dad's name is Gary, he's a Leo Libra, and then the girl who I was her first love was named, her nickname was Gary, and she had a dog named Loki, and she was a Libra, and she had a brother named Leo. And then I left her for a girl named Chloe, but every time when I first started dating Chloe, every time we went to a restaurant, we put her name in, they would accidentally misspell it Cleo, and she was a Leo rising. And then when I left Chloe to go to Miami to meet a guy named Aaron who ran a big YouTube channel, Aaron and his assistant Hunter, Chloe rebounded to a guy named Gary who knocked her up, and they named their kid Grayson at the same exact time that these energy vampires, oh, I stole your girl, and then the girl I left because she was bad for me, and I felt like they were stealing my energy, had a kid named Grayson. At the same exact time, my family, who I feel were always plants and energy vampires, they had a kid named Kason. So Kason and Grayson came out at the same time. And they were by people that I felt were stealing my Irish thing through sexual stuff. And then afterwards I learned that that's exactly what the Vikings were doing to the Irish. And that the sun at the end of the names is indicative of Viking. And then I found out Aaron means Ireland. And then there was this guy at a gas station that kept talking shit to me named Gary. And then a guy named Owen, who was very, very wealthy, gave me a shit ton of money. And I bought some nice clothes. And I helped that guy through homelessness. I taught him how to be homeless and how to survive. And he blessed me to be able to see my dad on his birthday, Gary. He got me back to my family. Then it turns out Owen was a pedophile, and he just casually said, yeah, I worked as a camp counselor and I groomed a bunch of kids. And then we ran him out because he kept trying to watch high schoolers having sex. So we kicked Owen out. And then a guy named Patrick gave me his car because I helped Sean and Jessica, who were heroin addicts living in the car. I helped get them out of Patrick's car, and I talked to Niall, who, that's the second High King of Ireland. It was O'Connor, O'Neill, and then O'Brien. So O'Brien worked with Niall to get Jesus and Sean archetypes that were heroin addicts out of Patrick's car. And then Patrick gave me his car because he wanted to convert to Muslim and live in a mosque. Then he went and took a faith walk around the country. I went back to see my dad on his birthday with that car, and he tried to kill me. He literally tried to choke me to death. He went nuts and pushed me into a wall. I tried to leave. He ran out of the door, grabbed me by the hair, threw himself on the ground, holding my hair, and then moved his hands and tried to choke me to death. I bent his finger back. And then he ran to mom. I called the police and said, I'm sorry to put you through this, but my parents are going to lie to you. So I want you to go check the camera footage for this specific hallway, because I know they're not going to be honest with you about what happened. So when they tell you whatever they're going to tell you, because they lie to you to hurt me, and it sucks, but that's why I was in DCF custody. They're extremely mentally ill narcissists that don't believe that they have any mental illness. So there's no chance of them ever fixing, and it's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and they're all old. They're very old now. So it just sucks, but it is what it is. But instead, the police just gave us both assault charges. They were like, we don't have to look at the fucking camera footage. I found the body cam footage, and all the cops do when I plead to them about how I'm an actual victim of these things. All I see the cops doing in the body cam footage is acting like 12-year-olds. Like they are mentally stunted people with power. They don't even know what the fuck they're saying. All they know is just like that little bit of yeah, and then trying to dismantle what must be some type of jealousy. Thinking about it, and especially thinking about the first album I ever wanted to make was called Envy. And that's why I got this green heart tattoo. Because it was me. The first album I ever wanted to make was an EP when I was 17, and it was just a green heart, and then it was a bunch of pine trees with snow on them in the background. That was going to be my EP. But now that I'm older, I'm like, holy shit, the theme of people being jealous of me for something that I don't recognize. I don't know why people are jealous of me. But I'm constantly attacked, and I don't know why I'm attacked. And then later I figure out, oh, it's that the people were sick, and it stems from envy. Envy about something I have that they want, so then it falls into greed. And it's like when you fall into one of the deadly sins, the other ones pile on top of it. It's just like you have to block all of them, because as soon as you let one in, the others funnel through. So I think envy was the start, and then through envy you found lust, greed, jealousy, gluttony, and all that. As soon as the guy, like Mr. Chrome, as soon as he fell to envy, he immediately fell to greed, pride, lust, wrath, and all of it. He attacked me in every way you could think of. And then right at the end, he started to get physical, so I left. And it makes any man like shrivel and invert and then come back out like writhing as this disgusting creature. And it's like, even if he wakes up in the morning and he goes and gets a coffee and he's a nice guy and he comes back and he has good intentions, it's like he had left the door open for those things. Especially, and I was trying to tell him, if you're born on the 11th or the 29th, you are a gateway. Your whole spirit is a channel. You will have this higher perception and intuition. It's sort of like a grounded ball of focus that allows you to see, sort of like living in a kaleidoscope of ever-changing energies, and you're the balancing point of it all, which allows other souls that meet you to be able to have a chance to raise to something bigger than themselves. Or you end up like King's Cross Station in Harry Potter, where you go in and you can go in all sorts of places depending on your choices. So when he fell and he let himself get infiltrated, I'm talking about like we're sitting there watching a movie and I feel the demonic force be like, can I come in spiritually? Like, can I attach? And I rejected it, and then I felt, and it's kind of graphic, but it's just what it's like being an empath. I felt it suggest some type of sexual power, and immediately the guy that wants to make men's thongs was like, "Fuck yeah!" So he got possessed. It jumped onto him, attached, and then immediately he reached for the cigarettes, and is blowing the smoke in my face. I'm like trying to hold the power and focus over here, and he's trying to take it all for himself through the cigarette and hold it. And I feel like I'm just being drained completely, and I'm like, I can't go back out into the cold. All my stuff's in his storage unit. I'm now relying on this person because he said he would help me. And he's not a good person. So after that, that's when he started leaving. My bed was next to the bathroom. That's when he would start walking downstairs butt ass naked with a big smile on his face. Um, that's when he stopped shitting with the door closed. Because I took out the light fixture, I fixed the vent, I cleaned the entire bathroom like it was like 10 years of grime. I'd have to go. It took me, I think, like a total of 10 hours of just going at one side of the wall, then going back to get it all off with like this shitty, like watered down cleaning solution. And eventually I got it, and it's nice. And I fixed the vent, and I cleaned everything, the sink, the toilet, all of it. And I told him, like, bro, it smells like, when you go into the bathroom, please close the door with the vent on, and just like leave it for like 10 seconds before you go upstairs, because it's wafting right into my face, bro. And you made my thing right, you made my bed right here. Instead, what he did was he shits now with the door open, and he laughs about it, and then at the very end, when he leaves, butt ass naked, right above my head, he stomps on the stair right above my head. And he was mad. He was mad because when I got there, he said he would pay me $15 an hour. He went off about how I'm an employee, and he taught me like how to do drywall, how to like use the measurements on the bandsaw and the table saw. How to take the staples out, caulk the windows, wipe everything down, how to build, basically build windows out of plexiglass and 2x4s with the bandsaw, screwing them in, putting weather stripping, covering the windows to insulate for winter. I vacuumed everything. It took me a while to learn how to do the caulk right. No diddy, the carpenter's caulk, but I figured it out. Then, turns out, if you work 5 hours a day, and I was helping him pretty extensively. Like, he could only work for like 10 minutes at a time, and then his hip would give out, and he'd have to go downstairs. And he spent the whole time telling me how rich his clients are that give him thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and how wealthy he is. But then when it came time to pay me, he didn't want to. He didn't want to pay me at all. He started out, he said $15 an hour at the end of the week. I worked well over 40 hours, but he gave me $80. So I told him to decide where the line is. Find the line where it feels like you're disrespecting me, and then go right above there. Out of those 6 days from the first week, 2 of those days, he called me babe the entire time. Like, sometimes I would be sitting there trying to learn what he's trying to teach me. And then you do it like this, babe, and then he would stomp next to me. Like, really trying to throw the word babe at me. And I bet if I went back to that week, I would find one of the 7 deadly sins every day. I bet. And that was lust. But then after I posted on YouTube that the stuff he was doing, I woke up and he put $130, I think, right in front of me, right in front of my face. So I woke up to the money there. Um, After I went right before I went to bed. I was like, I told him basically like, I worked 35 hours, but it is what it is. Then I found out that most of his clients um, see him as a sick homeless guy, a lot of people see me. Like one of his really 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 rich clients called him because they were delivering Meals on Wheels, and they were trying to give him some food because they know he's homeless. And that guy's name was Alex. But yeah, he just got worse and worse until at the very end he would go, "Hey man, can you do me a huge favor?" Every time that I was like sat down and feeling at peace, like if I started to like do the meditation and start to feel pretty good, he would either come downstairs and get right in my face and start barking at me, or he started throwing shit at me, or he would ask me for a favor, and the implication was if I didn't, he was really excited to tell me to get lost. Sometimes he would start going off about how he doesn't give a fuck about my dreams, and I was like, I didn't even say anything about my dreams. But it was him trying to dominate the space. He was trying to take my presence away and divert it to him. He was trying to continuously beat me down until I was nothing, and that he had the power. And then when it worked and he felt like he got the power, he would kind of strut around the place and like aggressively stomp around me and like assert himself over the environment. It was like, I don't know, psychosis. And a lot of it was sexual. I don't know if that's because it was Scorpio season, but pretty much all he talked about was she wanted to have sex. And like we would go, one time we ate breakfast at the diner, and then it was us. He moved to the back seat and he stood in the back corner, and then a family of 5 showed up, like 3 kids and 2 adults, and it was like 5-year-old kids sat right next to him with their backs turned to him, and then he immediately starts talking about sexual stuff, like really kind of vivid sexual stuff about Phoebe from Friends. And then the kids are like looking at him, and the adults are like, don't just ignore it. And then he likes it the same way that I said he would smoke the cigarette and get really proud. He liked it, and he'd keep going. He'd do stuff like that. But then at the end, I went up and he asked me to climb on top of the scaffolding to unscrew a bunch of stuff that he couldn't reach. And then right when I get up there and I'm unscrewing, he's like, actually, I want to move this, so stop. And he like ordered me, and I was like, I'm not fucking doing it. I have 1 screw left. Let me just unscrew this shit. He's gonna realize his impulses are guiding him to attack me. But then he started shaking it, the scaffolding, and it was about 6-foot drop onto a bunch of like stuff that would have hurt. And if I fell the wrong way, it would have been like a 16-foot drop down the stairs. There's a staircase, and then there's just a big empty open floor that he hadn't put flooring in yet, so I would have just fell right onto the cement. So I got out and took all my stuff, and I called a friend of mine, and he showed up and helped me get the rest of my stuff. But originally, I went to the homeless program next door, and I asked them if I could put my stuff there, and coincidentally, the one day that I need help, there's a big sign that says, nobody's allowed in today. But Casey is in there, so I ring the buzzer, and she's like, "What?" I was like, and I was like, well, first I have 5 sleeping bags for you, so I'm gonna leave them here. And second, I had a really bad time next door, and I'm trying to move my things out. I have a ride. Do you mind if I just open the door and push my stuff inside and come back in a few hours? And she was just like very vehemently, no, 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 I don't care. So I was like, oh, cool. So I said, I'm gonna put my stuff behind there in that thing that her boss had allowed me to put it behind. And she was like, I mean, I guess. And then the next day, after I slept outside, I'm going to move my stuff, and the other worker goes, opens the door, and goes, hey, I need you to move your shit. And then she was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that. And then she closed the door and went inside. But I felt the demon that attached to that other guy was already present and working in this group of women. They sort of attack in waves. So I felt it before she came out and said, I need you to move your shit. And did the demon colonizer point. I need you to move your shit. Where it's trying to rape me spiritually. So then when the next time she came out, I said, I'm really glad you backtracked, because when you said move your shit, I almost knocked you the fuck out. You guys are all I have. And Jeff tried to rape me. He brought me into the woods, froze, and started twitching. He called me babe for 48 hours straight. He would walk around naked and shit with the door open, staring at me. And she was like, I'm sorry, I know, I'm sorry. And I was like, I just wanted you to feel what it was like. I just wanted you to feel how it felt to me when you said that. The government gave me an extra $180 in food stamps this month because Vermont paid and then the government opened. So I have $200. I'm willing to donate 100 to Capstone if you'd like. I'll fill up your fridge because you guys have helped me out a lot in the past. Yeah. But cognitive dissonance, demonic forces, shut everybody in the building down immediately. When I came with the blessing and the light, I felt the whole thing get clasped in darkness, and she just and went inside. Now imagine back when I had no things, and I didn't have this strength from doing this for years, and I was still younger when I was 22, and I'd be out there, and people would treat me like that every day, all day. I'd be in like a Burlington, and everyone that walked by would get hit by that force and then jump at me. And then when I finally felt safe after days of fighting through it to make my songs, making music outside the outlet, outside Shaw's, hiding in the bottle return, when I finally felt free and safe, suddenly my mom has called the police and said, Casey talked to me once 2 months ago. I want him violated. And then the cops show up and they throw me on the ground, throw me in the car, and throw me in jail for 4 days, tow my car away with all my stuff in it. And then the next 3 days I'm fighting off the cops and the demonic force. Literally that instance on Thanksgiving in 2022, I was arrested on Thanksgiving. The cop walked into my cell, ripped the door open, and punched me as hard as he could in the chest. And I called the lieutenant over and I said, hey, I'd like to report an assault. Your cop just opened the door and punched me as hard as he could. And they're just like, oh, whatever. And they walked away. And people like look at me like there's something wrong with me and that I have issues because I have trouble functioning. It's hard to let that stuff go. And it's been happening my whole life. Like after the interaction, I feel this residual connection and harvesting. And when I start to fight back against it and win, the people that I feel were harvesting enter psychosis. I paused for a second and all the birds started to pull. When I was focused and thinking about, the birds started to pull it off, which is cool. That's why I'm like, just donate. If I got $100,000, let's make sure I'm not muted. I'm not muted. About $100,000, I would be able to set up a gym outside somewhere. You can find decent properties for 10 grand. I would have enough to get a car that will last and pay insurance, have a gym to set up. I also get that as much as people expect me to be doing that, like I know my life would be solved if I had land, a car, a job, a girlfriend, a dog, and was able to work like that. It would completely change my life, but also I wouldn't be in this situation. And there must be a lot of value in this situation and a lot of growth that happens in this unique experience. Like if I had a piece of land and a car and a job, would I have been able to meet that veteran, take him out to the woods, and then show him the UFOs that circled us and be able to validate a lot of his stuff he thought he was crazy and not able to function for? By confirming, yeah, it's because we have Rh negative blood in our families. I also one of the things that like there's this legend with the native tribes around here about a guy who during a time when it was the Wild East a couple of centuries ago, there was a guy, a legend, that one time this Native American man walked into this guy, like a colonizer settler's tent, and while he was asleep he snuck in and tickled his nose with a feather and then ran away. And I realized that in 2023 there was a guy named Cat that kept trying to kill me, literally. Like I had to fight him off a few times, and I was really mad, and I was gonna burn his yurt down. He lived in a yurt at Battery Park, and I was gonna go there, take a lighter with a bunch of like dead stuff, and I was gonna burn it until there was a fire in my hand, and I was gonna spread it around the tent. And then when he left, because he tried to push me off the cliff, when he ran out, the only way he could get out would be along the cliffside. I was gonna drop kick him off the edge, burn everything he owned down, and then leave. Because you can't fucking do that to Casey. You can't try to rape Casey and then leave him to suffer, feeling like you gained some power. I was gonna burn it all down. And I got there, and while he was asleep, he thought I was a skunk. He was like yelling at a skunk, "Get out of there!" Because I was so quiet, and I was so precise. The reason he thought I was a skunk is because there was an actual skunk there. But then I go to burn it, and the guy's head is like this close to me. If I wanted, I could have just stabbed him. But I didn't want to kill him. I just wanted to burn his shit down. Because he started to do that power stuff because he had a stable place. I wanted to humble him. I didn't want to kill him. The cliffside wouldn't have killed him. It would have been really fucking painful, but he wouldn't have serious injuries or died. But he would have lost everything. That's what I wanted. I wanted to humble them. I wanted to humble Handy's Towing for stealing my car because they knew that they could, and casting me out to be sick and fighting for my life. I'm not going to burn Mr. Crow's woodshop down, but I wish that people would realize he's not legally allowed to live there and would kick him out. So that he's forced to fight to get his needs met again, and hopefully he'll meet the way he treated me when he's desperate. He's going to meet himself. But as I'm about to burn the guy's yurt down, a skunk starts yelling at me. And I can see, because I'm an empath, I can see through nature all the times that guy had fed the animals. And that the animals, even though he was a really piece of shit monster, nature was like, he has some good qualities. He's doing something positive for the environment, at least. So I sat there, like, talking to the woods, and I was like, if you really don't want me to do this, jump. And the skunk went, yeah! And I was like, okay. So I peacefully left, went over to his guest house, and took all the stuff that I had left him, all the gifts that I had given him, and I took it back. And there was a homeless guy in his guest house, in his little, like, he built like a pallet shack for homeless people. And there was somebody in there that went, yo, what the fuck? And I didn't say anything at all. I just got really quiet, and he couldn't tell where I was. And I went back into the woods. And it's really cool that I didn't know anything about native culture at all. But then days later, it was the 4th of July, and I fed hundreds of seagulls. And I thought it would be really cool to take all their feathers and put them in my head. And then I walked around like that, shirtless, around on the 4th of July. And then there's a video on my channel too, that I was walking around and I didn't know anybody, and I was like traumatized, and I was an animal person. I didn't know what to say, or even if I did, my breath probably smells. I don't want to be hanging out with anybody right now. And what if my old friends see me? And what if they're there? And then, just like there's a bird over there now, there was a firefly that flew around my head and then flew into the woods, and I saw there were more of them, so I followed them. And in Burlington, there are thousands and thousands of people along the waterfront watching the fireworks. But the fireflies led me to this one specific part of the waterfront where when I got out of the woods, there was a good like 20 or 30 feet of space where nobody was. So I had my own space in these thousands of people that happened to be directly in front of the fireworks. So I was able to sit there surrounded by fireflies with the feathers in my hair, and I watched the fireworks and the drone show. And back then, the more that I think about art, the more that I realize that the Irish people were the true chosen people, because there was something that caused them to grow a foot taller than the rest of the world 1,000 years ago. They were the tallest people in the world, the Irish and the Scottish. And something with them, for some reason, whatever they were doing, the English, the Romans, the Catholics, the Vikings, the Jesuit order, the Freemasons, everything that was going on was targeting them, and they've had to resist against that for 1,000 years. And before that, it was the Celts with the same gods. That same substrate of human, for some reason, something with their bloodline caused them to be constantly under attack for thousands and thousands of years, and they had to persevere and innovate and figure out ways to resist it, which gave them the culture that everybody loves. The alcoholics that bottle everything up until they explode, but they're great dancers and they've got rhythm and they make art. So I always thought in my head, like, those, if there were a chosen people, it wouldn't be the plight of the Jews, it would be the Irish, because they're the ones that have suffered the most. And also, they were just as enslaved. People are figuring out that, yeah, Cherokees are dark skinned. The natives of Louisiana were dark skinned. And there's not really much evidence of slave boats ever existing. So a lot of people are like, oh, okay, yeah, they just took out what was here and they told them that they weren't from here, so to eliminate the idea of their connection to the land. And now when you go through most of that substrate of the indigenous, they all have Irish last names. Most of them. Like if you go to the Facebook groups that they're a part of, most of them have Irish last names. And it's because the Irish would come here, and it was either be enslaved, hung, killed, raped, tortured, and a lot of them would go on plantations, get into an indentured servant contract, which meant that you would accidentally sign up to be a slave, and then you would work your 7 years, and then they would say, either we're going to keep you here, torture you forever, and you're going to continue being our slave, or we're going to kill you and we're going to enslave your kids. So that's what happened. So the ones that would leave, that built the Mid-South, like Kentucky and Tennessee, those Irish places, they were all fraternizing with the same groups. The freed slaves after the Emancipation Proclamation, the natives, and the Irish were all going around together. They would go down to Costa Rica and Jamaica, and they would work as indentured servants, and then they got freed eventually. So the Irish is in there. And then this morning I woke up, and the first thing on my Facebook was talking about how it's been hidden that the Irish come from Hebrew, and that their culture and a lot of the stuff that was taken from the Irish and hidden was that they had stories of Jesus being there. In the time, you know, Jesus goes somewhere and people don't know where he goes, and then he comes back. In the Bible, there's like a big gap where Jesus is missing for a while, like 10 years, from his 20s to 30s. And people don't know where he goes. But you have like the mystery schools, you have like the Oriental schools, and you have the Irish, and they all have, the people that were there all have stories about Jesus being there, and that he decided to just nomad and travel Europe for a while, for 10 years, before he came back with what he learned and tried to show people the way. But it was specifically talking about how in those old books they reference the king in the north. They specifically call him the king in the north. So I think it's really cool that also when I was doing that native, going into that guy's yurt, touching an enemy without him knowing, and then riding off on his bike, you know, like stealing an enemy's horse from his own camp. And touching an enemy without, the stuff that you would need to do to earn the feathers. The song that I was writing at that time was, I don't remember the first part, but it's King of the Kings, like, wait, blah, 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 the king in the north. Fuck that. King of the Kings, like the sun god Horus. Fly as a bird, but quick to turn Tyrannosaurus. I work in the projects, I'm cool with the foreman. My whole team is ready for war. We know that we're special and came back to settle the score. We drew up our fiery swords. We're coming to come gun down all of you dorks. You can never get my glory. I'm adorned and ornament. You're a doormat and annoying. Get the fuck out my flat foyer. I just raw dogged my 5th bitch this morning like a Mormon. I got an assortment of shorties. His little brothers adore me. Go ask the Lord who you think is more important. And it was to an African beat. An African drill beat that I made. Because it was the year of the water cat. So I don't think I'm crazy. I think that I suffered trauma that limits my cognitive ability to focus, because it always feels like there are the people that hurt me, their energetic influence still attached. And as I break free from it, I see that those people that I feel were attacking me fall into psychosis. What's my favorite illicit substance? Nicotine. I think weed, I think it's when they say weed is a okay. Do you hear that? I just heard 3 taps of something against a branch. Like taking a log and smacking it against a tree 3 times. And now I hear a crow over there. But yeah, weed is a feminine plant. I don't like how I feel when I smoke weed. I feel like I'm not happy with who I become. I liked weed a lot when I had a girlfriend. I was working out in the gym, and if I wanted to just ignore the world and get into my music, I loved weed. It was pointless. It wasn't fun. Smoking a shit ton of weed with my friends wasn't fun. It just made me realize how much I didn't like my friends at all, and that I should have been doing better in my life. And everything that I do all goes down to, I wish that I was just blessed with $100,000. It just becomes, there's so much I can do. I'm capable of so much whenever I smoke weed. And then I don't have the ability to do anything with it. So then it just goes into overthinking and overthinking and overthinking until I'm out of touch with reality, because I've wandered into a new realm of the universe. And then trying to implement that with the world can get awkward. And then trying to make it work by like holding in all my knowledge makes me feel, eventually I realize it's completely not me. And then it feels like pretty much everybody is that way, where they've driven themselves too far from who they actually are, trying to use their knowledge to work in the world. And then I find that the path to enlightenment is the way of spiritual childhood, and the way that you were before any of the trauma and before any of this. When you were just a kid, you were actually the smartest version of yourself, the most functioning version of yourself, and the happiest version of yourself. And when you were just when you do drugs and you try to make it work in society, I think I haven't read the Bible, but I'm pretty sure the big concept is that that's the point, and that trying to be of the world brings you further from God. So I don't really like drugs. They say cocaine is like chasing the dragon, because of the energy that it gives you. And you can, whatever energy that they do on coke, you can naturally get to just by persevering. Like all coke does is like let you be a demonic puppet for a few hours. And then once you've like bitten the apple, you can never get back to the spiritual childhood you once had. And it makes you hate that. It makes you start to become jealous of people that still have it. acid and mushrooms, if you don't know what you're doing, it's just pointless. It's just running you in circles, and everything just fucks with you. You might be able to be like, oh my god, that's amazing, but then you're like mentally retarded for 8 months trying to recover because you didn't know what you were doing with it. After like years of being in the woods, when I took one tiny little stem of mushroom, I was able to ride that high for like 12 hours because I knew what I was doing. I knew that the chemicals were being produced in my gut, and I had a healthy gut, and I knew I knew what to look for and what was happening. So I knew what to expect, and I was able, with my stubbornness from the trauma that I endured, I was able to hold myself and not lose myself in order to actually learn and gain new experiences. It wasn't like I got on a roller coaster ride I'd never been on, so I didn't have to spend weeks recovering. If you do these drugs and you don't have the foundation in place, all it's doing, it's all a detriment. I would say if you wanted to microdose LSD and you wanted to microdose mushrooms, it has to be later in your life, and it has to be after you have a strong foundation of all of this knowledge and stuff first. You have to go on a lot of crazy psychosis journeys and trying to understand the Higgs boson and quantum entanglement and empathy and energy. And then you have to do the meditation journey where you're inside, way back in your mind, trying to figure things out, so that you can understand what is you and what is your conscious presence and your focus and your creative will and your style. That way you can tell when it's a foreign entity trying to gaslight and manipulate you into gaining control of your impulses and driving you into a dissociative state in fear, so you don't know what is you and what isn't, so that it can just take control and pilot you for as long as it wants, because it restructures your neural pathways. So it wants to have you in your formative moments become a vessel. And then you get thrown into orchestrations that aren't meant for you. They try to throw you into karmic attachments with other people so that you lose all of your blessings and the life meant for you, and you slowly become other people. And then the people that are weak, that prey on people like that, will come for your blessings and will come for you, and they try to dig in and eat you. And I had a lot of that for a long time, because I was trying to make songs, which means I was trying to take everything and turn it into something perfect. So I was producing fruit that was very valuable to people, which can be extremely traumatizing, especially because I did it alone. Pirate Johnson, talking about stealing sexual energy. Okay, so my phone is at 18%. My big battery has died. I'm emerging from my cave. There has been some weird creature. Oh, hello. Yeah, so the Jews have come out and said that they've bred white people to be their cattle for years, for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. That the entire society that, let's say, conservative white people are so proud of, the Jews just admit all the time, that that whole thing was a psyop for a long time. It's just Stockholm syndrome. That there is a much better way to live, and it is fucked up. Dude, all of my portable batteries died in the cold. That sucks, because it means I'm going to have to go on a long walk tonight back into town to charge all of my devices. Which means we need to get my emergency bag. Where's my backpack? Backpack. Coat. Keep the knife here. Headphones in the bag. I have one charging block. I have 2 charging blocks. That's good enough for me. Then this. Then protein bar. We're going to take 2 for the journey ahead. Gloves. And I got this, I got that. Okay. Now we're going to need my coat. Squirrel. These trees have prickers. Backpack. Oh. Come on. It's fucking cold, fam. But yeah, I have stalkers. I have real stalkers. Not like I'm gang stalked. But like I have actual stalkers. And I think a lot of them are cops. Okay. And this can go in my pocket. And this can stay. And we're just going to take one of these. These. I can put you there. And I think I'm going to take 2. Yeah, we'll take this. No, we're going to need the Olipop here. I don't want to take multiple of these energy drinks because the energy drinks will make me go crazy. So we're going to take a Gatorade instead. And do I want to bring the guitar? It's fucking cold, man. We'll bring one notebook. And the guitar is right here anyway. But I think it doesn't, I don't think I have my capo. I found my capo. Found the charging block. I found this, so we're just gonna hope that, well, I can actually do this. And I didn't have all messages on. Let's see if I missed anything. What's up, folks? No need for church. He's inside you. We are all God. Wake up, folks. Yeah. I do think church can be a revival, but it's also, I had a lot of bad experiences at churches with energy vampires that were preying on people that didn't have a full connection and knowledge of self. so they would prey on people that didn't. It smells like a skunk is living in that. Okay, we're just gonna leave this and take the guitar. Okay. Let's make sure this is closed. It is closed. Now let's make sure I have my vape. I have my phone. Oh, fuck. Let's put it in my backpack. Let's put everything in my backpack so I know it's here. Then we're going to take a piss and we're going to leave. Okay, there's nothing in here, so I can put this here. Drinks there. Hand warmers here. Portable batteries. My big portable battery is in here. Headphones. Charging block. Fuck. I'll need to piss. Okay. At the very least, I can take this stuff out and put it in there. And then we're going to go through it after I'm done pissing. And I'm going to go over here to piss. Okay. There ain't a lot of boys named Gary these days. Born with a cigarette glued to their face. One more invasion of my tent site, and I knew my vape was in there. And I've been eating snacks. I've been eating many snacks. You know what? It's because my tarot readers told me to. They said, hey, I just saw that you, I'm seeing somebody that had a lot of spiritual attacks recently. And he's kind of just sitting around. I'm seeing the King of Wands, which is my favorite. One of my favorite cards. The Hierophant, the King of Wands, and the Emperor are my favorite cards. And I like Judgment a lot. They said, they're telling you that if you feel like you want to eat snacks, you are completely allowed to eat snacks. Because when you have spiritual attacks, they attack your resonant energy and vibration. So you've been moved to a period of rest to regain your strength. And I'm like, wow, it's like he's fucking talking to me. Okay. This is where I live. It ain't that bad. Now, I'm gonna go and I'm going to enjoy my walk by myself. Thank you very much.